with Manchester City. So Manchester City similarly went through, I guess, a little bit of a transition, losing Jesus, and then Sterling has just left. Zinchenko looks set to leave to Arsenal, and then Fernandinho obviously made his move to Brazil. So they came in and brought Haaland. So Haaland is immediately like going to replace Jesus. So I don't see any like problem there. And then Calvin Phillips, another guy in the midfield that you can slot in. The thing I like about City the most is like they have so many different lineups, and they're able to keep all these lineups fresh for Premier League games and all the tournaments that they play, because they play a lot of games, and there's not much break time for them besides international breaks. So it's good that they have such a deep squad that they can just use in so many of the tournaments that they play in. So I can definitely see Haaland, maybe not starting off the hottest, but eventually I think he can gain some form towards the end of the year, kind of like Jack Grealish did for them last year, how he was performing a little bit in the Champions League. But another guy, Jack Grealish, I think he'll have a bigger role this year with Raheem Sterling leaving to Chelsea. Grealish was, a big signing for them, so I'm sure they're expecting a lot of them this year. And I can't forget about Julian Álvarez. He's another guy that's one to watch for. We don't know if he'll make an immediate impact or anything like that, but he's definitely one for the future. And then I believe Nathan Ake might be on the way out. Another guy that's been linked to Chelsea. So my whole thing with them is how will the new players get acclimated? Because with Jesus leaving, I definitely see a role where Haaland is definitely going to have to step up. I don't think Haaland will have much time to get acclimated, kind of like Grealish is, because their depth in the front line is, especially in the striker position, I don't think it's the best. So I think they need Haaland to provide some goal threat right away. Calvin Phillips, I think he'll have time to get developed. Although he's acclimated to the Premier League, he may have to get acclimated to the Guardiola system. But like I said, Man City, another team that's just like retooling, don't have too much to worry about. Their play style is just contagious for everybody. So I don't think Haaland will take too long to get used to it. And then Calvin Phillips, I think he'll provide them with a lot of threat going forward. And obviously his defensive ability is pretty good as well. So not really too much to worry with City. I like their signings. I like that they're still, ambitious and trying to get better. Ultimately, I feel like their goal is to get that Champions League trophy. So Haaland brings you that much closer.
Yeah, no, I agree. Also, too, what you're talking about with the depth, a big thing to keep in mind is I think they just approved this season to have 5 substitutes in games. Yeah. So that's going to directly impact everybody, but especially the big teams with deeper benches. It's going to help them a lot because, like if you bring like Riyad Mahrez off the bench, Jack Grealish off the bench, or just name anybody, Álvarez, it's going to give them, world-class players against teams that just don't have the same resources to spend. So I like those moves a lot. I agree with you in a sense that their play style is contagious, but I also disagree because I think the transition for Haaland, I think, might take longer than people think it will. Because if you watch how a lot of Dortmund games, like the way Haaland was scoring, City don't necessarily score in those types of areas. And it's, I think, one of the reasons why they wanted to bring him in. Like with him, like he scored a lot of crosses, like long shots, those type of things. And, City's all about, trying to score the easiest way possible. A lot of tap-ins, 1-2 combination, stuff like that. So I think Haaland's going to have to really improve, not only holding the ball up, but being a part of those passing combinations, because when they were at their best last year was when they were playing a false 9. And as good as Gabriel Jesus was for certain matchups, like they were, in the big games, they would run the false 9 a lot. So obviously he's not a false 9. So trying to fit that into the system, I might take a good while. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting too is that it's a super condensed schedule this year because of the World Cup. So I think previously, before the Christmas, spectacle, they would have like 9 league games or something like that, and this year it's 13. So, you're playing more frequently, which means that you're going to have to rotate guys in and out. So the longer that you have to, adjust new guys into the system, could potentially impact you down the road if you're dropping points, if you're losing games that you shouldn't. One of the reasons why Liverpool hasn't won the league more is because they've drawn so many games early in the season when they're trying to figure everything out. So it does come back to bite you, and I'm curious to see if that will happen with City this year. I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. As far as your Haaland point, I can see what you're saying. They definitely play a little bit different at Dortmund. So Haaland, not necessarily that type of guy with the ball playing ability. I think that's where Jesus was probably one of his strengths. And then you saw it for years with Aguero. So yeah, Haaland, it might take a little bit of time, but I don't think, as you saw last year, a guy of Haaland's capability and capacity is really needed for City anyway to create goals. So that's interesting. Haaland might take a little bit of time just because of it's a different play style for sure. And then the condensed schedule, for sure, it's a little bit different this year. I don't know, man. It's just, I think it'll be different, but like a team like City is probably used to that condensed schedule anyway. And the depth, I think, will definitely be something that they're going to have to rely on. And I don't think that'll be a problem for them because, they're deep in pretty much every position. So, City, I don't think they have any worries. Some other teams might have some worries with that, that don't have as much depth as a City or a Liverpool team. But yeah, City, I think they'll be fine. But the World Cup is a little bit, unfortunately, it's not this summer. It's going to be, so it'll be a little bit different to get adjusted to that. But yeah, it is what it is at this point. And then City, did they have any other significant departures? I'm not really sure besides Jesus and Sterling. Is there anybody set to leave besides Zinchenko, of course?
Yeah, Zinchenko's going to Arsenal. It looks like the other guy, Nathan Ake, it looks like he's actually staying. I read something this morning that they said that Chelsea wanted him because he was originally in the Chelsea Youth Academy.
Yep.
Before he left. I think he's actually staying at City.
Okay.
The only other, I'm trying to think. The only other significant one. You said Fernandinho. He was like old. It was like before the season. I think they announced that, but.
Yeah. Yep.
No, I don't think they have any other significant departures. I think what you will see though is that Haaland's probably going to play a lot. Like you said, Grealish is going to have an extended role. I'm a big Jack Grealish fan. I think his antics sometimes overshadow like how good of a player he is because he's kind of known as a diver.
Right.
But like he's really like skilled on the ball, especially when he's taking on defenders. So I think they're going to be a little different from Liverpool. I think you'll see like Jota play a lot more early in the season, more so than Nunez. But flipping that around, I think you will see Haaland play because I think Haaland's like, even though he's young, he's still like ready to play like and contribute a lot right now. So they're a little different.
Yeah, that is true. I think with Grealish, he might be able to form a little bit of a partnership with Haaland because I think this might be a little bit of a stretch, but I think Haaland reminds me a bit of Kane in a way because of just their aerial abilities. So I think if Grealish is kind of able to form a similar partnership, just like he did with Kane in terms of like England, I think you could see some more significant impact right away just because, just it could ease Haaland's transition a little bit. And obviously Grealish has been in the system for a year and he's been in the Premier League for some time. So if they're able to form a little bit of a partnership, maybe they'll make the transition a little bit smoother for Haaland. But it'll be interesting. I think those two have potential to form a little bit of a partnership because they're still they're not really immersed in the style yet. So that's just one thing to keep an eye on as well.